Honestly, I used to be one of them, skipping meals, grabbing whatever junk I could find when I'm rushing around filming or heading to a game. You know how it gets. You tell yourself you're gonna eat later, and before you know it, you're starving. But since I started using Huel, especially the Black Edition drink, it's actually changed the game for me. This little bottle, it's a full meal. 35 grams of protein, 26 vitamins and minerals, low in sugar, everything I need right here, and the best part of it actually tastes good. It comes in loads of flavors: chocolate, vanilla, iced latte, strawberry, banana. I'm on that chocolate one, heavy right now. It tastes like a proper milkshake. For me, it's perfect. Filming days, match days, or just when I don't have time to cook. It's balanced, designed by nutrition experts, no guesswork, no stress, just grab, drink, and get on with it. New customers, you can visit huel.com/invincible today and use the code INVINCIBLE to get £10 off your first order plus a free gift. Hi, and welcome along to the Invincible podcast, brought to you by Huel. Big up to Huel, by the way, right? The drinks are all right. I like them, man.
This one here is my favourite, the iced latte.
You know what, right? I've been on the chocolate, but because you've told me about this iced latte one, I want to try it. But the chocolate one I really like.
No, right? But this is my favourite. I'm a more of a Villena man, but this one is better than the Villena.
Oh, yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Not as good as chocolate.
No?
No, chocolate's nice.
Do you know what? I only like chocolate in chocolate bars. Don't really like chocolate cake.
No?
Chocolate drinks. Chocolate
milkshake. That's all right. It's all right.
Very
nice. I like that one. So big up to Huel. What?
Hold on a minute.
I was looking at you here. He's got a medal around his neck. Ching. What's this?
Ching, 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 ching.
You turned Julia now. What's this?
Essex County Cup champions. Won it last night.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Thank you very much. 3-1 we won. Tough game. Tough game.
Who did you play?
Where?
No, who's it?
Corinthians. They'd won it a couple of times. A little bit younger than us, if I'll be honest. You know what I mean? I reckon 35 to 40 they were, where we're 40 to 35 to 40, and then me, like, you know what I mean? I'm the oldest one in the team. Yeah. How
did you get on? Oh, you won all your personal battles.
I did win my personal battles when I was in midfield. Then I was sort of pushed to the right, and my God, they had a winger. They had a winger playing for them yesterday. I'm telling you, he was quicker than what I was in my prime. You know what I mean? Like, I'm having a run.
He gave you the runaround.
Listen, I had to work and work. Just to keep him under control. He was quick. He had a little trick in him as well, but he was direct. You know, one of those ones that are direct. You just get the ball and he knew he had the pace of me, like, you know. Yeah. So I had to give him a few little taps here and there, like, you know what I mean. But no, it was a great performance, and a couple of players got sent off. It was a real
sent off.
Proper game. So,
but you won.
But we won, and
congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We got some footage of We got the footage of you scored a goal. Was that in that game?
No, this is the semi-final on last Sunday.
You're doing all right, innit? How did you get on in that? Did you win?
We won that one, yeah.
So you're through to another final?
We've got another final, yeah. We've got another semi-final Wednesday. Yeah, racking them up, you know.
I think we have footage of... I ain't seen this goal. Oh, there it is. Is that you running there?
Yes, me, look, now. Shall I love him? Oh, no.
Oh, that's a good goal, man.
Probably pitch as well, like, you know what I mean?
That is a good goal. Look at the slow motion, and that's a tidy little finish.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That's great. However, right, we've had the goal assessed and checked for VAR, right, because that goal to me looked a bit offside. So let's have a look at it again. Let's do a VAR check. Here he goes. Now, as the ball comes through there, that looks like we're doing the VAR.
Onside.
Checking the VAR. We're drawing the line, and he's offside.
Right.
He's offside.
Right, you absolute dog, right? It come off for their player, by the way.
It's offside, mate.
Onside,
no.
Like, you know what I mean, like, you know?
That goal's clearly offside.
You have to spoil things, don't you, like, you know what I mean, like,
That's clearly offside.
No, it wasn't. It come off their play like, which means it was onside, like, you know what I mean? So
well done with that. And by the way, how did last week go? I was a bit gutted. Remember, in the end, I said I couldn't make it because of that meeting I had to go to. But how did it go?
It was just unbelievable. We made over £11,000 on the day. Like,
wow.
Rob, there was people queuing up for over half hour. My daughter Emily was out. She didn't sit like I only played the first half because I had that game on the Sunday.
Yeah.
She had to queue up for half an hour to get in. She only see the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, we've got a picture up on the screen there. You know.
So yeah, there was people queuing up for over 30 minutes. So thanks for everyone and their patience for that. Like, and it was a great thing. I have to say this, right? There was a Spurs signed shirt. West Ham, Chelsea, Fulham, all of them donated.
Brilliant.
But like, did I mention Chelsea?
Chelsea, yeah.
Spurs area, Declan Rice.
His shirt.
He's went for the most money.
There you go.
There you go. It just tells you all you need to know. Like, you know what I mean?
And that's in a Spurs area, isn't it?
Spurs area, you know what I mean? But Declan Rice went for £550. Yeah, and was the highest one.
Do you know what, right? Do you know how many people have the interview that he did on here, like,
so proud of him.
Come up to me and said, Robbie, that was so impactful, and you know, like the message that he delivered on that day. But they just said the way he just delivered that, he was just, you know, so calm when you consider what he's going through, what he must be feeling, you know. And then it's amazing that he's done the event and they've raised so much money. Yeah,
amazing. And the other thing for us, Rob, is that Arsenal Football Club have got in contact with him. And
all right.
They've watched the podcast, seen him on the podcast, and they've invited him and his family to an Arsenal game.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
So it just shows you, like, you know, that it gets out there and sending the right messages, and, you know, for Arsenal Football Club to get in contact with him and saying that we'd like to invite you to a game, and his family. For me, that's such a big thing, because, you know, I know Adrian's going through it all, but he's got a young family that don't really understand what's going on. So to give them that special treat for them and everything like that, so
that's brilliant. And I love the fact that when we, you know, even when I was talking to him afterwards, he's still very positive. He's not giving up.
No,
right? And I love that. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, well done, Adrian, man. And
well done. Yeah,
it was an absolute honour to have you on the show, and so glad that event went so well.
It was brilliant,
absolutely brilliant.
I couldn't believe Emily. They run out of beer. they run out of, like, burger buns and things like that. The club just was, you know, like, big up to St Martin's for putting it on, but they couldn't cope with it because it was just so massive. I couldn't believe it, like, you know what I mean? You know, when I looked out in the crowd and all that, like, you know, it was just an unbelievable event.
Yeah, amazing. No, it's just brilliant. It's brilliant. Back to the Arsenal at the moment. Of course, we had the game the other night, Fulham. And Bukayo, let's start with the positives first. Bukayo Saka coming back. That was an incredible moment when he came on, wasn't it? I mean, I
didn't expect it, Rob.
That was unbelievable, isn't it? Like,
incredible. I couldn't. I thought, like, he's going to be a little bit like, you know, Ben White, not quite at it. He was at it.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. He looked strong. He looked quick.
He looked sharp, didn't he?
Sharp, comfortable on the ball. I know the adrenaline gets you through the first couple of games, but what a reception as well.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, the reception was unbelievable.
Unbelievable. I couldn't believe what I was watching, and considering a lot of Arsenal fans at that moment in time were down, because we're going to talk about it in a minute. But that was an unbelievable moment, that was, and you just, I don't think you realise, I think we do as Arsenal fans realise how good he is. I think, like, he doesn't get the credit from other fans that he should do, like,
because he's kind of an understated guy, isn't he? He's not a flashy guy. He's not a sort of out there person. He's just a very humble kid who just loves playing football, obviously, and it's just really, really talented. You know what I mean? And he just goes about his business in a very respectful way, and he's an incredible player.
He does. And I'm not having a go at Miles Lewis-Skelly when I say that. He has a little bit of that edge to him, which I'm not saying I think you need that.
Yeah.
But he just proves you don't have to have it, but you do have to have it, sort of. So I don't know how he does it, but he just gets himself up. You know, like if you have a look at all the really, really good players, they've always got that little bit in their makeup, haven't they? You know what I mean? Dennis Bergkamp definitely had it. You know, Henry had it a little bit, like, you know. You can go Vieira, Keane, all of those sort of players. But he just hasn't. He's just, you know, like there was a couple of times he got kicked. He just gets himself up. He don't chirp at the referee or the player or whatever, or doesn't, like, he just, you know.
And what did he do when he scored? Straight over to the physios and that, to thank them, which, you know, I think that sums the guy up, you know what I mean? And it was just so great to have him back. Absolutely incredible, because we've got a big game coming up against Real Madrid. However, one's back and then the other one's gone, and you know, we still, at the time of doing this show, we still don't have the full report on the extent of the injury, but what we are being told is that he's definitely going to miss both games against Real Madrid, 100%. Right? Which is a huge blow. Gabriel being out for those games, that is a huge blow to Arsenal. For me, he's been the best defender for us this season. Arguably, you could argue either him or Van Dijk, or maybe, you know, one of the guys from Forest. But they've been amongst the, you know, he's one of them as the best centre back in the league this season. He's going to be a massive miss for us, isn't he?
Massive miss, not just for his defending as well, from his set pieces and everything like that.
Set pieces, leadership, like, you know, mentality. I mean, it's a huge blow.
I think you said last week, you know, we got 40% chance. That went down to 20%.
Yeah, that's how big
it was. You know, I see him running, and then when he went down, I went, oh no, I can't believe it.
I was gutted.
Absolutely ruined my night. Ruined my night, that did. I had the out of that. Not nasty. What's the word when you're a little bit snappy afterwards? You know, nothing was going to please me like that, because I know how important that was. And do you know what? I think Mikel was like that as well. You know, he had a go at Martinelli, and he was in his press conference, he was a little bit spiky, is the word. Yeah. And I think it's because he's just, you know, you get one back, and it's like, it's taken away, another one's taken away. It must be frustrating.
The way I was sort of looking at it and thinking, we've got two back in attack now, because remember, Martinelli was out as well. Yeah. Right? He was out for over a month or however long it was, and I was thinking, we've got Martinelli back, and he's looking sharp. Yeah. Because in that game, he was brilliant in that game. Absolutely cooking Castagna down that wing. He was talking about fast wingers. Imagine being up against him. Right? So it was great to see him back. So you're thinking, all right, brilliant. Saka's back. You know, Mourinho, you know, he may not be a striker, but he's chipping in with some goals. Yeah, we got a chance all of a sudden, right? And then Gabriel, of all people, go down. And let's not forget Timber as well, came off. I mean,
Ben White injured in training, apparently.
It's you know, no Calafiori at the moment, because, you know, it's just, you couldn't write it. The injuries this season have just been absolutely incredible. I was doing a live stream last night, and my daughter was on it, Kenya, big up to Kenya, and we were talking about injuries, the injury to Gabriel and the injuries, and how Arsenal have suffered this season due to injuries. And I said on the stream, I said, listen, let's just for a minute take out January. Let's just take out the fact that, because we all know that we should have went and done something in January to bring in a striker or a forward player, right? They didn't do that. All right, park that for a minute, right? The injuries that Arsenal have had, let's just say no one really got in, you know, you just had your standard injuries. I don't think we'd be 12 points behind Liverpool. No. I really don't. You see the quality of Saka, right? You're like, you can't afford to miss that sort of quality for that amount of time. And then some people in the, you know, there's two guys in particular in the chat, and it's their opinion, and big them up for it, right? But they were saying, nah, Robbie, it's not an excuse. You're supposed to have the depth to cope with that. And I was making the point that I don't think any team really out there can cope with that amount of injuries to key players for a sustained amount of time. It's really difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what you're saying, key players, you know, like, it's like Saka. You know, you're never going to replace Saka. You can find a solution, but you ain't going to replace him.
Mm.
And the quality of, Wanyeri's done well, by the way.
Very well.
But you see the difference between Wanyeri and it doesn't mean to say Wanyeri's not going to be a good ball, because at 17, Saka weren't as good as what he was. But what I'm saying is there's a drop-off. You look at when Odegaard was out, it's a drop-off. Well, you
know what? I went through the team. I'm going to do it again, right? So I'm just going to run through the team so that we can have we really get an idea of how the extent of injuries that Arsenal have had. This is the first team, right? So obviously Raya, he's had an injury-free season and he's been absolutely brilliant, right? Neto, well, he's hardly played. Saliba's been pretty injury-free this season. He's I think the odd game out, but he's been injury-free. Kieran Tierney started the season injured. Yeah. He got injured at the Euros playing for Scotland. Yeah. Bad hamstring injury. Probably would have been moved on if he'd have been fit. But started the season injured, no pre-season, and comes in around Christmas time? Yeah. Just after. So injured. Ben White, injured all season. He was apparently carrying an injury into the season. Had to have an operation, out for months. Has come back, still not right, still injured. Right? Gabriel now injured. Looks like it's a long-term injury for Gabriel, who has been brilliant for us, but now is going to be adding to that list of injuries. Right? Urian Timber has had various injuries throughout the season. How many times have Thomas Partey had to fill in at right back? Right? And when people talk about depth, right, you can say Timber is playing at right back, but Ben White's a right back as well, right? Both of them have had loads of injuries this season. Timber's had a lot of injured again the other night, but he's had loads of injuries this season. Kivior, injury-free, but hasn't really figured a lot, but injury-free. Zinchenko, injured a lot this season, didn't start the season, was injured. I don't think he had a pre-season either, did he?
No, he had calf injury again.
Yeah, calf injury. He's only just recently, over the last couple of months returned. Takehiro Tomiyasu, injured. Exactly. I think he's played, season. Was it one game,
6 minutes he's played.
6 minutes, the whole season, injured. 6 minutes. This is a guy who can play right back, left back, centre back, injured out.
And play well in all that.
Yeah. Ricardo Calafiori, injured. Injured when he came in at the start of the season, and has just had various injuries. Has come back recently, looked all right. Yeah. Goes on international duty, injured again. He's had a real injury hit season. Yeah. A guy that wasn't injured at all last season.
Unbelievable.
The big surprise, right? The guy that we probably thought was going to be injured a lot of the season. Thomas Partey, injury-free, has had to play various positions around the midfield and at right back to cover off injuries, right? Martin Odegaard, injured. Went on international duty, got injured out for nearly 3 months, right? And not quite looked the same since he's come back from the injuries, right? Jorginho's not been injured. Mikel Merino started the season injured. No pre-season because he came back from the Euros late. They went all the way to the final. They won it. Comes back, first training session. Gabriel falls on him. He
done his shoulder or
fractures his shoulder.
Bone in his shoulder or something.
Out for months, right? Comes back, and remembering when players come back, it takes some time to adjust and get back. You already got to adjust to a new team. Injured. Declan Rice has had a couple of injuries. Started the season, Broken toe, he's had injuries. Saka, out for nearly 4 months, injured. Gabriel Jesus, out for the whole season now, right, with another ACL injury picked up at the start of December. Martinelli, injured. Various injuries throughout the season, but the last one kept him out for 5 weeks, right? Trossard's been injury-free, really. He's not really had any problems with injuries. Kai Havertz got injured, out for the season. Got injured in end of January. Yeah. Sorry, right at the start of February. Yeah. Out for the season, right? And then we've got Raheem Sterling's been in. Well, even he's had a couple of injuries, but he's been more or less injury-free. That's the first team squad. You know what I mean? We've seen Ethan Nwaneri play so much because of injuries.
And he got injured as well.
And then he was injured. Remember, he came and then he had a hamstring injury. Yeah. And then just to give you an example of how bad injuries have been, right? If you think about the left back position, right? And how many players at the start of the season, this is what I put that point to this guy when he's going, yeah, but you've got to have the depth. All right, left back position. These are the players that could play there, right? Season started with Timber was playing in that left back position. Yeah. Right? In pre-season. So these are the players that can play left back. Timber, Zinchenko, Calafiori, and Kieran Tierney. Yeah? And Tomiyasu can play there as well. We see him play there quite a few times last season. That's 5 players, yeah? All internationals, right, who can play in the left back position. Yeah? If that is not what that is unbelievable depth, yeah? But yet still, they had to still go into the youth team to get Mars Lewis Skelly to come in and play that position because they had nobody. And remember, he weren't a left back. No, he's a midfielder that they had to say, come and do a job for us because we've got no left. 5 players that can play left back. So the depth thing, I think, listen, we all know we should have bought a striker, and you can argue the depth for the striker position. But there is depth in a lot of other areas.
No, without a doubt.
But this, and then the other thing is, right, there's certain players that no matter how much depth you've got are hard to replace because you don't have a second Saka sitting on the bench. You know what I mean? You've got a player that's really good, and if he comes in for a few games, you may not miss Saka as much, but he's not Saka.
No.
And you see throughout this league, I mean, Manchester City, Rodri, they got depth. They got other midfielders, but they ain't Rodri.
They ain't got a Rodri.
They ain't got another Rodri. If you got another Rodri, he ain't going to sit on the bench. He's going to be playing somewhere else. Newcastle don't have another Isak. They got backup Wilson. Yeah. He's always injured, but he's
decent. But he's
decent player. He ain't Isak. There's no other Salah.
Yeah.
If Salah gets injured, there's not another Van Dijk in that team. If he gets injured, right? So when you consider that, and as I said, we should have went out and bought someone in attacking striker position in January, and you could argue we should have got a striker in at the start of the start of the season. All of those things, but park that for a minute. If everybody had been fit, I don't think we'd be that amount of points behind, and that injury list that I've just gone through there would decimate any. I know every team gets injuries, but that would decimate any team's title hopes. I want to know a team that's like had that amount of injuries to first team key players and that have won the title.
No, it's impossible. And the thing is, we're not saying that we would be above Liverpool. What we're saying is we'd
be close.
We could
or
be
a lot closer.
We could be 6 points behind them now, and still going to Anfield. So the title race would have still been on. It's just that I say you got to give Liverpool credit. They've continued to keep winning.
Yeah, and they've had some injuries as well.
And they've had injuries as well, but they've been able to manage it. But
it's not the same extent.
They've had a couple of key players injured, their goalkeeper and things like that. But their main guys have been there. Like last season when we had our main guys.
We had an injury-free, on the whole season. Yeah. And we finished 2 points off the title. Yeah. And had it not been for an unbelievable run by Manchester City, probably would have won it. Yeah. If that would have been this year, we would have won it, innit?
Yeah, of course. That's what we have to accept that. What I mean? Like it's and we're not making excuses. We're just saying we're putting it out there. It's a reality.
It's a reality.
But in saying that, you have to. I don't want to sort of say Liverpool have been lucky with that. They've had it, but they've kept going and going. I didn't see the game yesterday.
I saw it.
Apparently, people were saying
they weren't great. Liverpool.
They weren't great, but they got the job done.
I mean, they were very fortunate. I mean, if that first half, Everton could have been a couple up. But they got the job done, and but I just would have loved to have seen if we hadn't have had all these. I mean, it happens in football. It's how football goes sometimes, but I don't think you can mount a serious title challenge if.
What?
I mean, you can go out and buy 3 new players, right? If they're injured, it doesn't mean nothing. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's the injuries have killed us this season. And now going into the biggest game of the season for Arsenal, they're out without Gabriel. Timber's a doubt. You know,
well, they ain't going to play.
And then when when we're talking about squad depth now, you know what I mean? Because I would have replaced Gabriel with Calafiori. That would have been my straight change, because he can play in that position. He played there before he came to Arsenal. He played there for Italy, right? But he's injured, right? All right, let's put Ben White in there. We don't even know if he'll be fit. I mean, it's just...
Well, you're looking at you're going to Everton on Saturday with Thomas Partey at right back.
Yeah.
Kivior, Saliba, and St. Miles Lewis-Skelly. But this is the game when you're thinking, well, 3 days later we've got Real Madrid, and maybe this is the time to just give a breather to Saliba or something. Yeah. You can't afford to do it now.
You can't.
You know, so it's it's going to be a difficult game, and I can guarantee you that the Everton fans ain't coming into that stadium with their red shirts on, hoping that they're going to get beat.
No, Everton are going to want to win that game.
Yeah, I'd imagine Everton are going to be right up for it.
Yeah, and they've been playing all right.
Even though it's their local rivals going to win the league, they ain't got Champions League football to play for.
They're not going to do a Tottenham.
No.
They're not going to do a Tottenham. Hope we lose.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. You know what I mean? And like, I'm pretty sure if one of the Everton players is through on goal and he blasts over the bar, I don't think like the Gladys Street end is going to be cheering.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, they're going to be up for it, even though you know, if the title's over. But if Everton beat us tomorrow, they're giving it to their local rivals, right? But that ain't going to stop them putting in a proper performance. Yeah. So it's going to be a tough game. On the back of that, the players are going to have an eye on Real Madrid.
Yeah, the managers are. It's going to be really interesting. What team he puts out, because to me, maybe a start for Saka just to get him starting a game.
I would start Saka.
But then you've got to take him off early.
Like do what he done with Ranieri. 60 minutes off. Yeah. Whatever the score is, off.
I don't know if you saw that tackle by Tarkowski last night.
I see like the thing.
Bloody hell, right?
It's a sending off, isn't it?
You look at it, you think, boy, you know what, Saka? Of course it was a sending off. He meant that. You know, he knew what he was doing when he, right?
How was it not a sending off him? What was VAR's excuse on that?
Well, they just looked at it and said, yeah, yellow's enough. Because he got the ball. Because he actually, what it is where he's smart, right? He got the ball, but then he just followed right through deliberately. Right? So Mikel Arteta must be looking at him thinking, bloody hell, man. Like,
that's what they're like, isn't it? Like, they're not in a nasty way. They're a
physical team. Physical team. Very physical team. You know what I mean? Better up front, very physical. You know, it's going to be a really tough game for Arsenal. And then the big one on Tuesday night. And going into there with, you know, as I said, a key player missing.
You're looking forward to it?
I am looking forward to it, but that knocked me a bit. You know what, right? If Gabriel was there, and then with Saka coming back, I was starting to feel
a big boost, wasn't it?
The game started, I was starting to feel very confident. I'm thinking, yeah, man, we've got the defence. Now all of a sudden the defence is.
I drew 4-4 in the week in midweek.
Yeah, so they're conceding goals.
They're conceding goals, and they're not. This Real Madrid team is a fantastic team, but it's not the Real Madrid of it. There's vulnerabilities in that team.
Yeah. And to be fair to them, they've had their injury problems.
Yeah.
Militao's been out.
Yeah, they've
Mendy's been
injuries,
out. They said Mendy could be back. And there's there's this rumour that some of their players could miss that game because of they were they made some insulting gestures towards the Atletico Madrid players. The one that they're saying could possibly miss it is Rudiger, because he's the one who did the slip through thing. I think they're hearing that on Friday. He could possibly. I don't think the Mbappe and all that. They won't. They won't. But Rudiger, that would be a big blow for them if Rudiger. But you just look at it and think, if they have got vulnerabilities in defence and we could nick a goal, then just defend. But now all of a sudden that. With Gabriel being out,
I look at that.
That's knocked it.
I've looked at the second goal. The Fulham goal, and if you have a look at it, like it's decision making as well. I know Miles Lewis-Skelly's out of position and all that, shouldn't be, but could have Kivior come over a little bit quicker than what he did? Like, you know, Gabriel would have been over there. Smashing it out into the stands.
That's the thing.
And it's just those little defining moments that just make that game now a little bit.
Who would you play against Real Madrid? Right. Let's assume Calafiori's still out. Right. But it's maybe Ben White might be back for that because he's still got a week to. If they said it weren't a big problem with him. Apparently, I don't know.
I don't know. He's kept it very quiet.
Very quiet. All right. Let's say he's out as well. Bloody hell.
You know what I'm going to say? Like, I'll throw one in there for you. And I wouldn't be hesitant in playing him as well. Like, he's Tierney.
Kieran Tierney.
He's played left back, centre back for Scotland in a free. I just feel like there's a mistake in Kivior.
Yeah. It's hard for him as well because he hasn't played.
It's very hard.
He's played a lot of games, so. But I feel that as well, and I just feel sometimes with the physicality with him. Like, even a couple of times he got kind of rolled a bit and like out-muscled by, I know Adama Traore is a big lump anyway, but it was a bit too easy. You would never have been able to do that to Gabriel.
No. But what the thing I see with Kivior is he does some good things. Like, he wins a few headers and he comes across and he intercepts really, really well. And then there's a lapse. There's a mistake. Like. And I
can't have lapses against Real Madrid.
No, that's exactly that.
Can't have lapses.
You can't have that. You know, you might, you know, we might get ourselves 1-0 in front and all that, like, and you've got to be able to see it out, you know. Yeah. And when that pressure comes on, and it has got that pressure, listen, I think Saliba and Papi, that'd be a good battle. Yeah. And I don't think that, you know, I think that.
Need Timber for Vinicius Junior as well. You need Timber.
I wouldn't play Timber on Saturday.
You can't risk him because, to me, if Thomas Partey, by the way, the other night I thought he was brilliant.
Outstanding.
Right? In midfield, but if he's right back.
He's been our best midfield player this year.
He has been. I'll be gutted. Why? Come on, run over a big game like this, man.
One thing I have to... I'm going to criticise Mikel for this. I think Mikel, as we said earlier on, was not in the right frame because of what happened and all that. And I get that. He's frustrated, like he's playing. When Timber went down the first time, for me, you know that Gabriel's out, right? You knew Ben White probably going to be out because obviously he knows something that we don't know at that moment in time. My thought would have been like, right, okay, get off.
Game's still 1-0 though, isn't it? Still 1-0.
Was it as important if we would have won it or drawn it or whatever? What for me, it's all on Tuesday.
Yeah, listen, we know Liverpool are going to win the league, but you still want to have momentum, innit? You still want to be winning games. You still.
I know. I just feel like, you know, eventually Robbie had to do it anyway. 20 minutes from the end, he's got to take him off. Would it have been?
I thought but. The first thing he was complaining was an ankle.
Oh yeah, but
apparently it's a knee problem.
Yeah, he's got like the way. Listen, I think. Can I just say it with Timber? I thought he was brilliant on the night as well, like defender. But what a first season. Considering the injury that he had,
I forgot he was out last season.
A whole season. I can't believe that he's come back from that ACL and played as many games that he has.
Been outstanding.
At the standard that he's played at, the physicality he's played at, you know, he's going to get little niggles here and there. He's unbelievable. But for me, I would have just said, right now...
he's vital for that. He's vital for that Real Madrid
But he just kept him playing, like, you know what I mean? I know, like, you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing. You think you're going to get through it, but I feel...
So it could be Real Madrid could be right back Partey.
Yeah.
Saliba, Kivior, and Miles Lewis-Skelly.
That ain't good enough.
That doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence.
And you know, the frustrating thing, I was talking to my mate Russ about it, and he said, you know, the frustrating thing about it, when we had Liverpool, we had the same thing.
Same thing.
All of our defence taken away.
Yeah.
And we we was hanging on in the end, but like we could have won the game.
Right?
It's the same sort of scenario as this one.
It's so frustrating this season because what I'm saying, right? We're getting attackers back now. We've had no attack, right? And big up to Mikel Merino because he's been chipping in.
He done well by the other way.
He been chipping in with big goals, right? And you know he played a big part in everything in that game the other night, right? But we've had no attackers, right? And we've kind of now we're getting attacked back. Now the defenders are going. Yeah. What will happen next? The midfield's.
Yeah, it's just and you think now, right?
Gutted.
You got Saliba, Kivior, right? What happens if one of them gets a bang on? You know, like Tuesday. Who are you going to put in then? Like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I know, man. This game, the game against Everton. Away 12:30 physical side.
Thanks
right?
for that.
The last game you want, right? When you're trying to make preparations and keep players injury free, right? And you're playing Real Madrid. That is the last game you need, right? But that's the game. We have to get. Listen. Those players now are going to have to show the mentality, and players are going to have to step up, just like our Marino's stepped up in that forward position. If it is Kivior, he's going to have to step up. If it is Tierney, he's going to have to step. Whoever it is,
yeah, they got to.
I'd give Tierney a shout. Then maybe give him a try in that position against Everton.
Like, Everton. I'm going to say it now. Obviously going up there for the game. I don't want to see Saliba playing.
He will though.
He's got to. But I don't want to see him playing.
Yeah, he's going to have to.
I ain't going to enjoy this game because
you're just going to be like on injury watch.
Yeah, injury watch. You just want them to get through the game.
Yeah,
and the thing is, you've not got a lot of recovery going into the next game. Like, it would have been nice, I suppose, to have played this on a Friday. Can't because Everton played on a Wednesday. I get all that sort of stuff and all that. Like, but
well, it's 12:30 though. But
they got a little bit extra, I suppose.
We're gonna need it.
It's gonna. I
want to get two predictions from you. Then I want to get a prediction for the Everton game and a prediction for Real Madrid.
Both 1-1.
Both 1-1. I think Everton will be a draw.
And 1-1's not good enough against Real Madrid, by the way. To take that back, we've got to go there, and we've got to win the game.
My heart a bit, man. I'm going 2-1.
2-1.
We unless some defenders are back, maybe a bit of Saka magic up front. Maybe we're going to have to revert to up front magic to get us through. They did concede 4 goals against
listen,
to the Real Sociedad, man. I saw them play against United, man. I didn't think they could hit a barn door.
No.
But
and you got
it's a different game, innit?
You got to say, like, and I don't want to have a go at the Arsenal fans and whatever. Like, the atmosphere weren't great against Fulham. It wasn't great against Chelsea. Like, you know what I mean? But I think the Emirates will be.
Yeah, it's going to be on fire. Everybody wants that.
Everybody, you know what I mean? I mean, I think people think I'm a ticket tout or something.
Like, me too, man. I'll tell you.
Can you get
I've
tickets?
had calls from around the world about that game. That's how big it is.
Yeah, unbelievable. Like, you know what I mean? Like, can you get to? Yeah, I can print you up a couple tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? They are like gold dust.
It's crazy.
They are like gold dust.
They are, man.
And there's a couple of people that have got season tickets that maybe selling them for the Fulham game or the Chelsea game. I see you Tuesday. Oh right, I mean, like Real Madrid. I see you Tuesday, and quite rightly so. You know what I mean. And I think that it's going to be buzzing. That Arsenal fans have got to be right up for it, which I'm pretty sure will be. And
we've got to get off.
Do you remember that game against Barcelona when we won 2-1?
Yeah. Oh, I remember the atmosphere.
Yeah, that's how we've got. I know we've got an atmosphere, but that night. That's what we've got to do again. We've got to replicate that, like, you know what I mean? I know it wasn't good enough to get through. We actually got conned in the away leg with the Van Persie sending off, didn't we?
Yeah.
But that's the atmosphere that we want. And when that Arshavin goal went in, the place went nuts.
It was crazy. And I remember that game. I remember it so well.
Yeah, and the atmosphere is so much better now. Than what it was back in the day, like, you know. So if we can get that right up there, you know, intimidate them a little bit, like, you
players concentrate, and you never know.
Yeah.
Before we go, we got to take a look at the judge meter. Let's see how you got on this week. I think that's why Arteta was losing it at the end there,
he was, because I'm with him on it. He's doing his nut and all that, because you're 2-0 up against Real Madrid. It's let him in like that. And at the end of the day, one thing that annoyed me about him today is Martinelli, sensational day. He's having a moan at him and really tearing into him not to defend with 5 minutes to go. He's absolutely worked his socks off. Take him off and put a defender. If you want someone to defend in the last 5 minutes, don't ask your forward to do it. Get a defender on to defend it,
Ooh, so it's kind of in the middle there.
I think frustrated because of the Gabriel thing, but I want to just make a point about that. Arteta couldn't bring someone on, could he?
Exactly.
Because it had the 3 slots.
Yeah, I knew that on the night, but I forgot to ask you.
Yeah, of course you I've been reminded of it a few times. People actually dare me. Oh, wait, judges.
Didn't I say in the interview? I'm sure I said, how many subs did we make?
I don't know. I can't remember. But people dare me and go know your stuff and all that. You know what I mean? So, but you're in the moment, aren't you? You know what I mean?
If the judge meter doesn't move for the Real Madrid game, that means we've had a good result.
And Everton.
I'm
looking forward to going to Everton. It's the last
game at Everton. Last game for Arsenal at their old ground.
Do you know all the times that I've been to Everton? I've been, back in the days. Remember, it used to be behind the goal, and then I've had a bit of hospitality at Everton, and then
because Kev.
And then they put you down the side. Yeah, in those years, I've never been in the top tier.
Never been in the top tier,
but I've managed to got a ticket for the top tier this time.
He is actually better than bottom.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. Bottom tier's better, kind of closer.
Yeah, so I've never.
But if you've never had it,
I've never had it, and it's going to be a very emotional day for me. Because they're going to be singing Kevin's name.
Yeah.
On 9 minutes, so that'd be a very, very emotional.
Yeah.
And this is the first time going to Everton
since he passed.
Yeah. So it's going to be a tough, tough thing. Probably try and go into Winslow before or after the game, because I don't know what's going to happen with the Winslow. That's a very famous pub over right opposite the ground.
Those pubs are going to suffer.
Yeah.
Because basically, they're going to be no more, are they? Because it's a bit like with West Ham, innit? When they moved, all them pubs and they tried to keep it going, but
I get it that they've got to move and everything like that. But for me, it's always been a special place, Goodison.
Yeah,
and obviously with the Kevin connections, it made it.
It's
made it fit. I love it there.
Yeah, and I like their fans as well. Everton fans are always passionate.
My second team.
They're always one of these clubs, right? Again, where no matter how badly they're doing, when they come to Emirates, mate, ends sold out.
Yeah.
They're the proper loyal fans, and there's Evertonians everywhere. That's another. And remember, when we were kids, right, they used to win leagues. They were a huge club.
They were all.
Did you see the other day, Abby was saying that, Tottenham, bigger club and stuff Tottenham bigger in sort of stature now.
They weren't back in the day.
Back in the day, Everton used to win titles on a regular basis.
Everton were a massive club. It used to be like Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester United, Everton. Tottenham would be in that thing. But Everton,
but Everton used to win titles.
You know what I mean?
More Tottenham weren't winning titles or Everton were in 80s and Everton.
Tottenham have got more clout and everything to be in that table than Spurs. You know what I mean? Everton. They're a massive club. They've got a massive fan base.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then that new stadium they're moving into looks really nice as well.
So disrespectful, Spurs fans, aren't they? You know what I mean? But and listen, they won was it 85? They won the league, and then 87
leagues. They won FA Cups.
They won 2 league titles. In the 80s, the Spurs have not done that in their whole history. They've only won 2 in their whole history. Oh. You know what I mean? Everton, unbelievable. The last time they won anything was 95, which is incredible. Yeah. For a club their stage,
for their size, they should be winning more.
Should be winning more. But they have got a wonderful, wonderful fan base.
They have.
Wonderful fan base.
Knowledgeable fan base, passionate fan base, and I'm looking forward to that. Last game at Goodison Park. And then, after that, the big one. Next week, Tuesday, we're all over it here at AFTV. We've got a big watch party at the Box Park, right? So look out for that. But it's going to be absolutely massive. Want to thank Huel for
ice latte, get on them.
The ice latte, the chocolate, get on it. But thanks to Huel for fueling us up for this video. And if you're interested in any products, the link's in the description. Thanks for watching the show, and we'll see you next week. The Invincible podcast. Myself, Robbie, and Lee Judges come together once a week to discuss all things Arsenal. Straight talking, considered discussion, brought to you by the fans of the only club in Football League history to go invincible.